temper expectations last year. Even though everyone knew the reason why you were brought over here. You are the reason, you are the missing piece to what we feel like is a, in your words, an S-Bob team.
There we go.
Yeah. And so when I look at Aaron Rodgers right now, and I know everybody's like, oh, he's old, but he's coming off injury. I said all those things. However, we don't need, and they don't need Aaron Rodgers to be MVP version of Aaron Rodgers. What they need him to be is more than what they got and have had in the past. They will get that out of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
My point. They will get that out of Aaron Rodgers. And the fact that he is being truthful about what the situation is, saying it's on me. This is solely on me. He's not passing the buck. He's not dismissing it. He's clearly stating the obvious of why this coaching staff still has a job and why this team is configured the way they are. Because it's on me. The expectations, I'm 10 toes down. I own it. I shoulder it. We're going to get this done.
I agree. And that was a great clip from last year with Douglas and Saleh. But when I started thinking, the Jets might be pretty good, was when Rodgers, with his opening press conferences before that with Saleh and those guys, when he was talking about that trophy looks lonely. Like he was embracing kind of the pressure even last year. And so, look, I know he's 40 years old. We all have to admit, it's not automatic, and most players it won't be the case. But we do have to admit that today, guys can be better longer.
Yes.
All right, so it wouldn't be shocking if at 40 years old he goes out there and actually plays well. I'm not saying MVP level, but if he's...
I got to pause real fast. I'm going to let the clip play, but I said that a couple days ago, and people ripped me because I used examples and I used basketball players as examples, like obviously like LeBron and Steph and all these other players, and people were very upset about that. They're, basketball is different than football. You have no idea what you're talking about. And it was like, guys, I was using that as an example as just athletes in general. We see football players are lasting longer and playing better. That's the reality. And obviously we have the extremes of the Tom Brady's and the LeBron Jameses, but it is still edging itself to deeper and deeper and deeper. And I think it was with regards to Derrick Henry, and people really took issue with that idea. And now here they are. They're saying it as well. So yeah, I guess no one knows what they're talking about. Not me, not Brew, not Nick, not Greg. We all just have no idea what we're talking about, and only some of the people.
90% of that, if he's somewhere in between the Rodgers we saw at the end of Green Bay and the MVP Rodgers, then this is a very good team. You know, so and what he said about the pressure, it is. All those guys are probably going to be gone.
Okay, well, all right, but so first, my struggle is I'm yet to have anyone explain to me why he should be better than his last year in Green Bay.
I agree.
That's the piece.
Because he's healthier, which is funny to say since he's coming off the Achilles, because he hurt his hand, his thumb or finger, whatever it was. He was unhappy in Green Bay, was playing with a lot of young guys that he did not want to be with. He lost his main target, his main wide receiver, and he went out of Green Bay. He was checked out, which is what happens to a lot of stars. And I've said, I'm not saying that it's the best look to check out, but a lot of these stars, whether it's Tom Brady or whoever, they don't want to play with these young guys. They want seasoned veterans. They're over it. They don't want to play with 22-year-olds. They just don't want to do it. Steph Curry, LeBron James, Tom Brady, they all say, get out of here. And Patrick Mahomes is probably a year or two away from also saying, I don't want these rookies. Get them out of here. I need people that know how to run routes. I'm not here how to teach a wide receiver how to run routes. Get me guys that know what they're doing. That matters. We see that. And so that's where Aaron Rodgers was at in his career. So stop with this idea that I have no reason why he's not going to be better. It's very clear. The injury is a legitimate thing. I do think he will make a full recovery, but you never know. And if he makes a full recovery, then yes, he should be better. No question.
Can I give a couple?
Yeah,
quick?
Sure, please.
One, he's taking part in the offseason workouts, which he didn't do in Green Bay at the end. He didn't seem to have any really love for the young receiver.
Sure.
So I would say that. And I also think, like Greg said, he seems more all in and he's embracing the pressure.
His thumb was.
jacked
Yeah,
up.
thumb was broken.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, the thumb. I don't know if the thumb was broken.
Fractured.
The thumb was. I mean, I know. That year, I think. I mean, Dak broke his thumb and missed 6 weeks. Aaron didn't miss any games, so I don't. He had a thumb issue. Sure, that's fine.
Oh,
it's
sure.
The last time we saw
a thumb issue doesn't really matter at all. Do you know how to hold a football and throw it? Like, what are we talking about here? Oh, God, brother. This is
playing was MVP. And then he popped his Achilles, and it was just about the Achilles and the age. I'd be a little more optimistic. But we saw him play a year post-MVP, and he was mediocre. But the other issue I have with the comment is so multi-layered. First of all, it is a wild thing to say. I'm just asking how you two would feel. I'm not Aaron Rodgers of this show, but let's just say, if I was doing an interview, I'm like, listen, I just come to work every day and I know if I don't perform, we're all fine. Like if I don't produce, Brew, Greg, Wiles, everybody's looking for a job. Yeah, it's on me.
I don't think I hear you. Look,
I wouldn't say that about DeMonze on the podcast.
He's right, though.
Okay.
Greg is upset. If you saw this, I'm gonna rewind it. I usually don't do this ever, rewind the clip, but watch Greg's reaction as soon as Nick says this, because he just knows this is nonsense. Watch.
I'm looking for a job. Yeah, it's on me.
I don't think I hear you. Look,
I wouldn't say that about DeMonze on the podcast.
He's right, though.
Okay,
He's right.
Brew.
Aaron Rodgers is absolutely right. We all know it.
So go ahead, Greg.
Prior to him making this statement, what we were saying about this coaching staff, this entire coaching staff, the reason why they did not get fired is because this experiment hadn't had a chance to be laid out.
Right. So that then brings me why I said it's multi-layered. If what he's saying is true, then they are making a grievous error keeping those people in place. If it's like, well, these guys only have a job because Aaron prefers it. When we think that they're going to be fired, they're on this close to being fired, then they should have been fired. Firing Robert Saleh or Nat Hackett or both of them doesn't cost you Aaron Rodgers, theoretically. It shouldn't. He wants to play. He turned down the opportunity to be the vice president of the United States in order to play for this football team. You're saying, so what we're saying is, I just want to make sure I have it right, is that we are going to believe in the Jets under the premise of that Rodgers 2 years ago could have been better but wasn't bought in enough. This year is going to be better under the preconditions of things that are not supposed to be in control of the quarterback he gets to say over, like the full coaching staff, GM, and offensive coordinator. As long as everything is laid out the way he demands, then we think we have our best chance of getting decent to good Aaron Rodgers. If that's the case, I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze. Personally, I don't.
And I'm going to stand here as the one that's been in the huddle with that guy and tell you the juice is worth the squeeze.
I agree if they're getting the guy.
We're going to rewind. It's so funny. I never rewind clips, but I'm going to do it again because that is just the best mic drop statement. As someone who's actually been in the huddle with the guy we are talking about, I am going to tell you from firsthand experience that the juice is worth the squeeze. Unbelievable. And then Nick will still try to counter that. And it's like, how can you counter that? You don't actually know what you're talking about. And I think non-athletes or people that haven't played in the NFL or have been in a huddle with Aaron Rodgers, their opinion is valid and worth listening to. But there's certain aspects, certain claims that someone can make. And this is where someone like a Greg is just, perfectly suited to be like, bro, what you're saying is just fundamentally wrong.
Decent to good Aaron Rodgers. If that's the case, I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze. Personally, I don't.
And I'm going to stand here as the one that's been in the huddle with that guy and tell you the juice is worth the squeeze.
I agree if they're getting the guy you were in the huddle with.
No, but what I'm saying is they don't even need that guy. They don't need the version of that guy. They will have his brains.
I'm not sure if his brains is as good as it was 10 years ago.
It is. I mean, we're not talking outside of football.
Okay.
We're focusing on football. Like, he's going to pre-snap, get them in the best situations. Like, you don't unlearn those things. You improve. You build on that. You grow. You advance. Like, I'm excited about the buy-in. And when you talk about last year's team, that is the issue. If you don't have a group of 11 guys bought in, let alone the quarterback, he didn't believe in none of those guys. He threw the ball to Christian Washington on the first play of their offensive snap against the Minnesota Vikings when he was there and never threw it to him again the rest of the game. He didn't believe in any of them. So how are you going to get the best version of those guys if the guy that is supposed to be believing in you don't believe in you?
And I guess my point is, if the biggest offense is, well, it's about, and it's Mangini said it ended up being right, or at least some people think. Like, oh, drafting Jordan Love was smart because it put a chip on Aaron Rodgers' shoulder. His play had tailed off because he wasn't bought in, but now he has something to prove. It wasn't that he wasn't great in Green Bay. It couldn't have been great, but he didn't trust the receivers, didn't do the work he needed to do in order to be great, but now he will be again. My point is, if your whole season's relying on someone that fickle, and where it's going to be, as long as everything is laid out for me, all produce, I don't think that is a smart season-long bet. I don't think you are able to operate an organization to where all of those things are going to stay in line in order to appease Aaron Rodgers, which it sounds like what we're saying is, as long as he's happy and feels in control, he'll play great quarterback.
I think that.
Because he's with a new organization. He's in a new relationship. When are you on your best behavior? And when do you care the most in a relationship? 7 years later, or when you first start dating, right? You don't take each other for advantage as much. Of course, if you're in a really happy and healthy relationship, it should get more intimate and, all that fun stuff. But you guys get the point what I'm saying, right? Like, if you're just talking about comparing a 2-year relationship to, the beginning of a relationship, of another new relationship, you have the honeymoon stage. So, yes, he wants to win with New York. He was getting burned out from Green Bay, having a new place to be, right? A new environment we know is beneficial. Lots of people experience this in their lives, in their personal lives, whether it be relationships, whether it be with their own work. I'm sure you've experienced this, where you are working, you're exhausted, you're fried, and then you either get a new job, and it could be the same type of job, but a different place, and you're re-inspired, you're re-motivated. It doesn't mean that you're fickle or that you're wrong. It means that you're human. And again, I think that it would have been better for Aaron to be able to continue, but what do you think? Do you think Tom Brady was more engaged and tried harder with the Patriots his final season when he knew he was already leaving, or when his first season with Tampa Bay where he won a Super Bowl? Yeah, I already know that answer, and so do you. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you think? Do you agree with Greg Jennings and Brew and me, for that matter, that Aaron Rodgers is going to play good to great football, and that is good enough for the New York Jets to do some damage? Or do you agree with Nick Wright, who is saying that the juice is not worth the squeeze? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.